Hello and welcome to Views on News. I'm Jawad. Tehami. In a major political development in India, more than 24 opposition parties have joined hands and formed an alliance called India with an aim to unseat the Bharatiya Janata Party led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the upcoming general elections of 2024. India, INDIA, stands for Indian National Development Inclusive Alliance, and the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi said the fight against BJP is a fight to defend voice of the Indian people. Also, in a statement, this particular alliance said, let me quote, that the character of our republic is being severely assaulted in a systematic manner by the BJP, and we resolve to fight the systemic conspiracy by the BJP to target, persecute and suppress our fellow Indians, unquote. And now this comes in the wake of the kind of discrimination that is being meted out to religious minorities within India owing to rise of Hindutva, also because of the rising prices and the rise of unemployment rate in the country. The manifestation of this resentment was also witnessed in the recently held Karnataka state polls, in which the Congress toppled the BJP, rendering a huge blow to the ultra-nationalist narrative of Bharatiya Janata Party. Also, we have seen a video that has surfaced in which two Kuki tribe women have been, can rather be seen as being paraded naked by a mob in the violence-hit Manipur state. And according to some media reports, the case has been registered against 800 to 1,000 miscreants who are involved in this incident. When we specifically talk about the violence that erupted on 3rd of May in Manipur state, according to the EU Parliament, violence in Manipur state has left at least 120 people dead and displaced over 50,000 people, with over 1,700 houses and 250 churches destroyed. In today's show, we'll be taking up both of these important issues up for discussion. For that, we are honored to have been joined in the studio by Mr. Javed Siddiq, his senior journalist. Mr. Javed, thank you very much for taking time out. We really appreciate that. And on the Skype, we are being joined by Brigadier Retired Haris Nawaz. He's senior analyst. Brigadier Nawaz, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on Views on News tonight. We really appreciate that. Let me begin the discussion with you, Mr. Javed Siddiq. Now, the kind of resentment, do you think this resentment has reached to such a level that, as we have seen in this particular alliance, more than 26 parties have joined hands against the BJP? Do you think this resentment has reached to that level? Even the rival parties have joined hands in this particular alliance.
I think having suffered the rule or misrule of BJP for almost a decade, the two terms that BJP has been in power will be remembered in India's history as the most unfortunate era of the history of Indian history. The BJP has unleashed atrocities on all the minorities, specifically the Muslims, the Kashmiris and other Muslims living in India, and the Christians and Dalits and all those people. All religious minorities have been persecuted by BJP in the last 10 years. Violence has frequently erupted in those states where the minorities are in majority. So, you know, after suffering all this and after realizing that the BJP has tarnished the image of India as a secular democratic state. Now it is not a secular or a democratic state, it is a Hindu state and is being run by Hindus and their extremists. RSS and other elements have joined hands to basically unleash atrocities on the minorities. And they're clearly saying that India is for Hindus. That means they don't want other minorities, Muslims, Sikhs, Dalits, Christians and others to live in India. And they've proven it. And you know, the Muslims, they have been beaten, they have been lynched openly. Mosques have been attacked. And you know, every mosque that they find, you know, it is destroyed, it is desegregated, and attacks are launched against the worship places of the Muslims and Christians also. Recently in Manipur, hundreds of churches have been set alight. So this is enough proof that BJP has tarnished the image of India as a democratic state. And India has been projecting itself at global level that we are a democratic state and probably the largest democracy of the world. And that wheel has been torn off by the BJP, and I think the Indian secular parties, particularly Congress and other parties, have realized that they should not allow BJP to continue like this. And also their political interests, which have been damaged to a great degree by the BJP rule, they have forced them to join hand and to create an alliance India. And let's see the next elections, how this new alliance of 26 parties fare.
We'll definitely be talking about the prospects of this alliance in the upcoming general election in 2024. Brigadier Haris Nawaz, what's your understanding of this timing of the formation of this particular alliance against the policies and the actions and the approach of the Bharatiya Janata Party that has ruled India for almost a decade now?
You see, the point is, they have seen what all in Indian BJP and a group of four extremist Hindus like Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, and Ajit Doval, and they've been following Akhand Bharat policy and a vision. So they realized if today they don't stand up and don't make an alliance, and the forthcoming next election, BJP is going to come, and then the total face of Indian secular state secularism is total finished. That is why they entered in Bangalore. They decided that now we have to go for alliance. And in that, you see what all who are coming. Congress, Aam Aadmi Party. Then you realize that from southern states there are parties. And then Bal Thackeray Party, Uday Thackeray Party has also Shiv Sena joined them. So see how much they are desperate to at least look for the people of Indians, their values. Then, of course, the image they had, the secularism they had, it is all finished. And now the only policy they are having is that they should be only Hindus. And after what they have done in Kashmir, what they have done with the Muslim in India, lynching and murdering them right openly, nobody standing for them. Then, of course, for the even low-cost Hindus like Dalits and against Sikhs. Now, finally, Manipur, I think, has created make them realize now they have to stand up. And Manipur 3rd May, what all has happened, how they are persecuting Christians, 41%, and they live in the hills, and the main land living Hindus, how they are lynching and killing Christians. You have already told, over 150 Christians they have been killed, 250 churches burned. Then how many? Over 170 houses burned, and then 50,000 people have migrated. So that is the reason now everyone realized that today or never. That is what is the slogan of they realizes. And you must have seen the Nagas, Mizos, Assamese, and Manipur, they're all northeastern states. They have realized that now they can't live with it. And I am sure if in say Soviet Union with so much military might, if that can disintegrate into 15 states, with Indians, weak army, untrained army, unprofessional army, only could kill unarmed Muslim Kashmiris, women, old people, children. They can't control it. The writing is on the wall. And I can see and I can imagine in a lifespan, this is what is going to happen, that India is going to be disintegrated. So now they have realized to go for alliance and bring back the real face of India, that was a secular state. And that is what they want to go for election with all alliance together. But the only thing is still Narendra Modi has given them full rights, full open right to go and kill everyone, create harassment, create a fear for elections. They go and really torture. You can't vote against us. You have to vote for us. And then watching. So these are the things they have to stand together. And I think they've realized that even the European Union, what they have by the resolution is 80% parliament members. Because then why they're supporting it? The cookies are Christians. What happened in East Timor in Indonesia? They got independence. So this is the right thing that has come up and will give a lot of support to other states which are asking for independence.
Brigadier Haris Nawaz, do you think this, the formation of this alliance is well in time, or it's already too late with the kind of discrimination, the kind of violence that we have seen in Manipur in particular?
I think it is still late. It should have been at least 1 year earlier, because it takes some time to get together, to understand each other, to form alliance and counter already well tucked in RRS, Gundas, I would say. So, and with this group of 5 people which I've told you, so this, but still I would say that now they have to decide they want only Hindu state and then get on one side out of the whole community of nations, or it should become a secular state where they have multifaceted minorities. There are a lot of minorities, and including their own low caste. So I think still I feel that now if they get together, they make an alliance, they make a good election campaign, they should be able to sideline BJP, and that is what is the best rescue for Indians face which they have to the world.
Right. Your point is taken, Brigadier Haris Nawaz. I'll come to this very particular point of the prospects in the upcoming general elections for this particular alliance. Now, Mr. Javed Siddiq, when we talk about the name of this alliance, India, what does that particularly depict? What sort of significance do you think is associated with that? Is it to capitalize on the nationalist narrative, or is it to challenge the ultra-nationalist narrative of BJP?
I think it is basically the Hindutva philosophy which is being challenged, on the basis of which BJP came into being. It was created and launched in India. Now they want an inclusive development. You know, the inclusive development is a part of this India with capital words. So inclusive means they want all the people living in India, all the minorities, to be part of the development process. They don't want to exclude Muslims and Sikhs and Dalits and other minorities from the development process, which BJP actually has, through a deliberate plan, marginalized them and thrown them out of the orbit of the national development. They have been maltreated, Muslims particularly. We have seen what is happening in Indian-held Kashmir. Hundreds of people, young Kashmiris, they are behind the bars. And at the middle of the night, the Indian security forces knock at the doors of the Indian Muslims in held Kashmir, Indian-held Kashmir, and they are dragged out of their homes. And later on, I mean a few hours later, or a few days, their dead bodies are found somewhere lying on the roads or somewhere else. So that is going on in Kashmir. Similarly with Sikhs, what is being done by the Hindu majority in East Punjab, elsewhere, you know, Sikhs are being persecuted and they are arrested. And as far as Muslims are concerned, living in India, Muslims are basically lynched. They are subjected to violence. If the meat is discovered or recovered from any Muslim in the street, or even the meat is found in the house, that house is attacked, and that family is basically subjected to violence. And there are incidents where Muslims have been killed just for possessing the meat, and they think that it is a cow meat. So these kind of incidents have basically tarnished the image of India, because Congress, which has ruled India for decades, they have now realized that the image they had built, Nehru and Gandhi had built an image of India, that it is a democratic, secular state, and it is accommodating all the minorities and their faiths. But that didn't happen. That image has been shattered by BJP by resorting to these high-handedness and these tactics of violence and atrocities to which the minorities are committed. So I think they want a new India, another image of India, which basically BJP has replaced. BJP has given this impression to the world that India is meant for Hindus, that it is a Hindu extremist state, and they are not going to, and they are not prepared to basically accept any other minority. Even the United States State Department in its report, has clearly criticized the attitude of the BJP government towards minorities. I think the image of India has been hugely damaged by BJP's misrule, atrocities they have committed, and the damage they have done to democracy. So I think they are trying to rebuild the image of India as a democratic and secular state.
Right, Brigadier Nawaz, when you talk about this acronym India, what significance do you think it would have for the common Indians? Do you think it is going to prove as an antidote to that very extreme polarization that has been spread owing to the Hindutva ideology?
Jawad, I do agree. You see, the point in modern Hindus, there are a majority of modern Hindus in India. And if you combine with them Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, other different minorities, which I have talked about, northeastern states, they all want that they should be kicked out of politics and elections. And second, they are causing a lot of embarrassment to American and European Union and their friends who are doing business with them. And they need them as their strategic partners also. Against, they want to use India as a proxy against Pakistan to stop making our CPEC. They want to use India against China in Ladakh and also for South China Sea. Then you must have seen they've already made 2+2 group in which you have America, then you have Australia, Japan and India. So the problem is but there are a lot of voices in Europe, in the Human Rights Organization, International Amnesty, and so in moderate European countries. They all are being embarrassed by Indians that they are working and doing business that they want using as a proxy strategic partner, which is a complete extremist state. And they're talking about all minorities, and now voice is coming from Muslim countries also. What they're doing against Muslims in India and also in Kashmir. So that is the reason I feel now is the time that they all get together. And at least I'm convinced that now even Americans and Europeans have realized that this government needs to go because they are causing a lot of embarrassment. So they may be having a tested international support for this alliance which is coming up. Because the word Congress has been ruling otherwise also, and there was no problem. All minorities were living like very conveniently. There was no problem. So this is the time they realize that now they need to change the government, and they should take the black spot in from Indian face and also embarrassment for American and European that this is what the country is supporting. You talk about human rights, you talk about democracy, the biggest democracy in the world, and this is what they are doing it, and they are interfering in Pakistan. All they are creating a lot of problems, and that Americans they know, the Europeans they know. The satellite gives them all information about how Indian infiltrated in Pakistan, how they're supporting TTP, what they're doing, openly doing in Balochistan, what they want, how they want to create Pakistan a victim of terrorism, and then the blame are put on Pakistan, that Pakistan is doing terrorism. So these things have, I think, getting accumulated to create an effect that now is the time that BJP must be given a red flag that you get off the election side and let the other parties come which are moderate, and they can rebuild the name of Indian values, Hindu values, and also the secular state which Indian used to be, and that is what they have always ideology.
Right, Brigadier Haris, Nawaz, when we talk about the numbers, the electoral position of different parties, when we talk about these 26 parties in this particular alliance, they've got that number which practically is less than half of the number of seats Bharatiya Janata Party currently holds in the Lok Sabha, the lower house of the parliament. Don't you think it's going to be an uphill task for this particular alliance when it comes to defeat Bharatiya Janata Party in the next year's general elections and to increase its graph of number of seats in the lower house of the parliament to that level in order to form the government?
You see, the point is, it depends how this alliance builds their election campaign, what election slogan they bring, what election manifesto they bring, what BJP has done for Indians, now what special they take out of their pocket to convince that you need a moderate Indian democracy and a secular state, which Indian and old Nehru and Gandhi used to preach. Do they want this, or they want that Indians should be further deteriorated in law and order and also it become a Hindu state? And then countries start avoiding them, particularly Muslim countries. Even I would say Europe, and I can see writing on the wall then Manipur is going to get independent, because we have seen they're very strict about Christians. What happened in Sudan, what happened in Indonesia, and now things are coming here. This is going to be a startup point. From here, the independent states for others are going to be encouraged. One, Brig, Kashmir, Sikh, Khalistan, these two already people are coming and they want to get independent. So this is a start they want to have it, and looks to be Manipur may give a starting point. So they have to be very meticulous. They have to plan their election campaign in a very systematic way, take out the fear of RRS and their BJP threat, that they have to wipe it off and make a proper election campaign with very, very well organized all the thing. I am sure if they sell their election campaign, election slogan and manifesto, I am sure moderate Hindus and to an extent, in even all Hindus are fed up of their threat, the depressions, the atrocities they can't face, and they don't understand how they are being done with all Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, and other minorities on north and eastern states, and also their own low caste. So I think at times when totalitarians ultimately have to fall, and then somebody else has to re-emerge. So you can't have the democracy and the one party coming all the time winning elections. It has to be coming, and the changes are required. And now I think Indian alliance and the world is rising, and now is the time that India needs to change this ideology and more go for the secular state which India used to be.
Right, Mr. Javed, Siddiq, what's your understanding of this? Do you see any substantial change when we talk about the number of seats in the lower house of the parliament in India? This particular alliance would be able to grab a much bigger number of seats in the upcoming general elections.
Well, I think some smaller regional parties are also in this alliance. And Congress, which has been fighting all out against BJP in the previous two elections, they have not fared well. But I think with the help of these regional parties, plus the other parties, important parties which have joined hands with Congress in this 26-party alliance, I think they can get a lot of votes, and they can be a challenge for BJP. Because the BJP, unfortunately, has not been able to carry out its promises. It promised India to alleviate poverty from India, that they will raise the living standards of the Indian population, which they have not been able to do. They have not been able to carry out the promises which they had made to the Indian voters through their manifesto. And secondly, I think BJP government's foreign policy, they have, entangled, they have worsened their relations with China and Pakistan, the two immediate neighbors. And they have created an alliance with the United States vis-a-vis China. The United States of America wants the encirclement of China, and China is a big power, it's a superpower now. And they are pitching, BJP has pitched India against a superpower, China, which is its neighbor. And the trade between India and China is about $100 billion plus. So how could you antagonize your neighbors and fight against them and be a part of an alliance which is basically to damage the interest of a superpower which is in your neighbor? So this foreign policy issue is also a burning issue in India.
That is in turn going to be detrimental for the Indian national interest also.
Exactly. So, and then the economy is not doing well in India, despite the tall claims made by BJP. So economy is one issue, and then the democracy itself, democratic values. The enlightened Indians, there are many in India who value a lot the democracy and democratic values, human rights, values, freedom of press, all these things. What's happening to journalists in India? The press is being suppressed, and journalists are picked up, and they're beaten, and they're subjected to violence. And
they're also being booked again.
Exactly. And
under the draconian laws.
Held Kashmir, illegally occupied Kashmir, the journalists are still in prison. Many of them are in prison, and they are there for so many years. The internet services have been completely blocked. So these are the steps which BJP has taken, and Indian enlightened public of India or democratic-minded people of India, they have no answer to these questions. And when they are subjected to criticism by foreign powers, particularly the Western countries, US and EU and other countries, they have no answer. You know, recently when Modi was in the United States, he had to face very tough questions on democracy, on human rights, on India's treatment to minorities like Muslim Sikhs, Dalits and others. So Modi was hugely embarrassed in India, in the United States. So when he visits abroad, these questions are faced by Modi because the home ground, the home picture in India is not good, and Modi cannot sell the positive image of India abroad. So this is being realized by the Indians at large, and I think the voters are in a mood to punish BJP for the atrocities it has been meting out to minorities in India. Recently in Maharashtra, they have suffered a huge setback, and I think if these 26 parties forge a united front and they do a lot of homework which is required, I think they can replace BJP in India.
Right, Brigadier Harris, what's your understanding of the lessons which this particular alliance could learn from the recently held Karnataka state polls in which the Congress defeated Bharatiya Janata Party?
They have to be together and form a right alliance, make a very good election manifesto, and don't break, and show strength. Don't get afraid of BJP and RRS, that they always at least scared these people, and that's why they used to get the vote of Muslims and all minorities under threat and a lot of duress. That is the issue. And I think if they formed an alliance, they must have already worked out together in Bangalore, and they must have made their election strategy also, and they should see how they were going to work in all the states. There, all the groups, they should be getting together, work out, find electables, and then support them wholeheartedly.
With that, well taken. Unfortunately, we're short of time. Brigadier retired Nawaz, senior analyst, joining us on Skype. We really appreciate you being with us on Views on News tonight. And in the studio, we were joined by Mr. Javed Siddiq, his senior journalist. Mr. Javed Siddiq, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on Views on News tonight. We really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of today's show. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.